Hello, everyone watching. Today I'm going to be talking about the current state of education reform in the US. This isn't just about school policies or test scores, it's about how media, politics, culture, and everyday people are shaping the direction of our school systems. There's a lot of conversation out there about what's broken, who's to blame, and how to fix it. My goal is to walk you through the major parts of the reform movement and show how each piece, whether it's a news story, a protest, or a political decision, plays into the bigger picture. So let's dive in. What is education reform? Education reform has been around for decades and for a good reason. A lot of our current system was designed for a completely different time. Today is failing many students, especially those in lower income or minority communities. Reform is about trying to fix those gaps and give every student a real shot at success. That includes addressing racial and income based inequalities, holding teachers and schools accountable in fair ways, and reevaluating how resources are spread out. Charter schools, school funding, testing, and curriculum changes all play into bigger conversation. The bottom line is this: every student deserves a high quality education no matter where they come from and how much money their family makes. So let's go into the media's influence in educational reform. The media plays a huge role in education reform, both good and bad. On one hand, social media platforms like TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram have become tools for students, teachers, and activists to speak up about problems in schools. These platforms help shine a light on real experiences, spread awareness, and even organize protests. You also have a smaller grassroots outlets like the Educational Post or the 74 that break down stats, stories, and updates that you don't usually see on nightly news. But on the flip side, mainstream media coverage often depends on political leanings. Some outlets frame reform as necessary and urgent, while others portray it as an attack on traditional schooling that can make the conversation feel more like a debate and less push for real solutions. Politics in the educational reform. Politics is always a major factor in any kind of reform, and education is no different. Reform tends to become a hot topic when the country is going through a crisis, like an economic downturn, or when student performance gaps can't be ignored anymore. That's when you see more attention on policy proposals, new bills, and debates over funding. Local leaders and advocacy programs like the Educational Trust often push the hardest for fair and equitable policies. It's not always smooth. Teacher unions, local school boards, and other stakeholders sometimes resist reform, especially if they feel changes threaten their budget, autonomy, or job security. So while politics can be a driver for change, it can also be one of the biggest roadblocks for it. Cultural framing and the identity of that. Culturally, education reform gets tied to ideas of fairness and justice. People see it as moral issue. If one group of students is getting less than another, then that's a problem and it needs fixing. Personal stories play a big role here when students, teachers, or parents share what they're going through, whether it's outdated textbooks, overcrowded classrooms, or lack of basic resources. It helps others connect to issues emotionally. That emotional connection is powerful, but culture can also create resistance. A lot of communities are skeptical of when change is pushed by outsiders, especially big name philanthropists um, or corporations. They worry those people don't understand the community and are just trying to experiment with kids' futures. So, reform has to be handled in a way that respects local values and actually includes people in what it's supposed to help. Tactics used in education reform. Common tactics are there's lots of ways that people try to push for change. On the grassroots level, things like student walkouts, teacher strikes, parent led town halls are all common. These efforts might not change policy overnight, but they do help raise awareness and build pressure. Larger organizations focus more on lobbying, lawmakers running ads, and pushing campaigns through media and legal channels. One of the most effective approaches is mixing real personal stories with hard facts and data. The combination helps cut through the noise and gives people something emotional and logical to connect with. Whether it's a viral video or a local protest, these tactics show that change is possible when enough people care and take action. Challenges in the future of the educational reform. Even with all these efforts, education reform still has a long way to go. There are big challenges: political gridlock, cultural resistance, and the fact that people often disagree on what real change even looks like. Some think reform means more testing, others think it means less. Some want school choice, others want better public funding. The key moving forward is to find solutions that actually work at scale and that communities can support long term. Reformers need to stop just pointing out what's broken and start building real systems uh, that work better for everyone. The future of education reform depends on finding practical fixes that can make a difference, not just in one school, but in every school. So, kind of my conclusion to wrap things up, if you ask me, I think the most powerful strategy for real change is grassroots organizations. When students, teachers, and parents come together and speak out, that's when people start to listen. Sure, media campaigns and political lobbying are important, but real change usually starts from the ground up. Communities know what they need better than anyone else, and when they organize, protest, and advocate together, they can create momentum that's hard to ignore. And reform shouldn't be something that's done to people, it should be something done with them. So I have a discussion question here that obviously you can't really answer, but I thought maybe I would put it on there and then I can answer. What do you think is the most important tactic or strategy for advancing education reform? I think grassroots movements and community organizing are the best ways to go and push for education reform. I know I kind of already said this on the conclusion, but when people directly impacted, like students, parents, and teachers, come together, they can create real change. So here are my citations, and I just want to say thank you for your attention, and I appreciate it.